Hear me? Because hopefully you can hear me now. I always forget to put the volume on. So there we go. No sound. Yes, okay. I realized that nobody was going to hear me until I pressed those buttons. So fingers crossed you can hear me now. So Jilly should be able to let me know on that, or the lovely people in the room. I think you should be getting some sound any minute now. I think so. Yes, all okay. Thank you, Sue. Good morning, Sue. How are you? Here we go. Silly port. Yes, Brenda. Very silly. A few things I have to do. One of them is put the volume on, and blonde moment today. So there you go. But you know what? Technology, great when it works. And it's pilot error, nobody else. So there we go. Jilly's just told me there's no sound, but hopefully, there we go. That's better. Good morning, Carol, Lynn, Linda, Jill. Hello, everybody. Tina, Zara. Yes. So I think there's a bit of a time delay. Jilly's only the other side of the office, but I think there must be a time delay with the text messages. So, okay. Right. So now that I've worked out that I need to put the sound on so everyone can hear me, much better. And it was a little bit early as well. So we haven't missed anything. And I was only waffling. I was only saying it's Tuesday again, that time of the week for some Groovi Tuesday, where we can stay home and craft, be safe, happy, and creative. That's what it's all about. So good morning, good morning, good morning. That's it. I think I've just got the all clear from Jilly now. Sound on now. Thanks, Jilly. So there you go. Right. Okay. So as I say, Jilly is in the room with you. If you have any questions or you're looking to find anything, then ask away and Jilly will redirect you to our lovely website and for the particular products you're looking for. I'm sure we'll have some of our fantastic design team in the room as well. We normally have Glynis and Josie. I've got a real brain block today. I don't know why. It's Monday, yeah, but not Tuesday. So there you go. I think it's yeah, let's have some more coffee. I haven't had enough coffee today, I don't think. So, okay. Right. Good morning, Hazel, Jackie. Hello, everybody. Okay, right. So where did we get up to last week? We was looking at the beautiful plate designed by Barbara, the paisley plate, and there's so many different elements to this plate. And having it as a sampler, let's pop it the right way around. If I turn it that way so we can see what the designs actually look like when we trace out. There's so many different elements. It's going to be one of those days today. I think I'm going to get tongue-tied and I'm going to say silly words. So I apologize in advance. But you know what? Crafting's all about having fun. So if I can entertain you with my silliness and show you some tips and tricks with the Groovi, then that's an added bonus. Last week, we were looking at this plate designed by Barbara, the beautiful paisley sampler. And we broke it down, didn't we? And we chose one particular design to work on our project. So when we look at it, what one did I go for? I went for this one, what I think is like a strawberry. And but you could choose any of them to create the design. And we were looking at creating a bookmark. Okay. And we broke it down, and this was the finished piece. And again, we can personalize it if we choose to, or we can just leave it completely empty. So what I thought we'd do before we get started, because I know it takes a few minutes for people to come in and join and everything else. I thought what we'll do, we'll have a look. Did you see the one-day special from Linda Williams last week? That beautiful It's a Wrap Part 3. it flew out the door, and it really didn't surprise me at all. So I thought we'll just have a quick look at that, because last Tuesday we had to look at the plates before we actually launched them. So I thought if you missed out and you want to see what was so special about them. So I've got mine in my folder. So we have the 3 beautiful It's a Wrap plates. Let me zoom out a bit because I have the technology to do so, if my shirt will allow me to stretch. There we go. Right, okay. So we have It's a Wrap Butterfly Trifold. You've got the beautiful design from Linda. These are A4 plates, so really good for working on. And then in addition to that, you also get the inspiration sheet from Linda that gives you some design elements on how you can use them. Then we have the It's a Wrap Dragonfly Gatefold. I love this one. I love these different flaps on them. There's so many different elements. It's just endless. It really is. Again, you've got that gorgeous design sheet from Linda. And then the third one in the collection was the Hummingbird and Magnolia. And I really love this sort of like netting. And I did a little bit of picot cutting on this one during one of the shows. So that's what the plates look like. And again, you get the gorgeous inspiration sheet from Linda as well. And let me just show you a couple of samples that Linda created in case you missed out on the shows. So this is using the Butterfly Trifold. And if you're new to Groovi, this really is achievable, because when you look at it, it's exactly what we've been doing in the shack. And the only difference really, for those of you that are not yet into the picot cutting, you could cut this out with a pair of scissors. But the white work, the colouring, we've covered this over the previous sessions. So it really is, even if you've only been doing this since we joined the shack, the Groovi Tuesday, you can definitely do this. Then I love this one. The colours on this, the designer paper, the coloured parchment really makes it zesty and fresh and bright. Gorgeous. And then we have the beautiful little dragonflies in there. And again, the colouring in, all achievable. This one I've coloured in with the Perga colour pens to make them really vibrant. I say Linda's used pencils on this one. She used the polychromos, but on the demo that I did, I used the pens. And then another one here, look at this picot cutting. So I did a little bit of picot cutting on this one, on the demo that I did on TV. But again, you don't have to if you don't want to. It's all about picking up those skills we've covered over the past 15 weeks now. We're on week 15. And you can just interpret them exactly how you find. So let's pop those safely to one side. And in addition to that, we also, Mr. Dave has been working like mad with these card blanks. So we have these available as well. So once you've gone through the ones that, if you went for the one-day special, you got 3 of the Dragonfly, 3 of the Hummingbird, and 3 of the Butterfly card blanks. But we have these available on our website in packs of 10. So when you want to stock up, then we've got those available as well. So really, that was just to give everyone a chance to come in, get comfortable, grab their coffee before we get started. I'm glad you can hear me now. It does help if I turn the volume on. Okie dokie. Right, where are we going then? So last week, I'm going to zoom back in now. Oh, gonna stretch again. I definitely need to get some bigger shirts. This one's a little bit tight, and I'm going to come in nice and slowly. There we go. Okay. Get my chair right. Make sure I'm comfortable. Are you all sitting comfortably at home? All ready to rock and roll and get groovy? Last week, this was the stage at which we got to, and we used the different tools. We used the number 1 and the number 2 Groovi tool to trace out our design. I showed you how you could create a border around the strip of parchment. Now, if you've forgotten, if you're just tuning in, then the piece of parchment that we needs to be 2 inches by 8 inches, or if you're into centimeters, 5 centimeters by about 20.5 or 20 centimeters. It's entirely up to you how you wish to the length on that, but 20.5 or 20 centimeters will be perfect. Okay, so that was the size of the parchment we had, and we used the plate to create our border. Remember, we've sort of moved it along. Let me turn that over. We positioned it, we drew part of it, we slid it along, did the other end, and then joined it up to create our edge to our bookmark. Now again, if you didn't want to do that, that was entirely fine. There's no, just because I do it this way, it doesn't mean that you at home have to do exactly how I'm doing it. I'm just giving you some ideas and some suggestions. And as I say, I went with this design here, but you could go, there's 9 different designs on the plate to choose from. Okay. So we looked at how we traced out using the number 1 tool to give us our beautiful crisp white lines. And then where we wanted to do the white work, see how these ones are less bright. So this is where we use the number 2 tool to get a softer line, so that when we start to do our white work, we can really break it down so it doesn't look like a harsh, rigid line. Well, not harsh, that's a bit strong really. But you can see here how there's no crisp white line around the outside. Now, if you've done it and you've got that, then that's perfectly fine as well. It's just about having a go and just learning the various different techniques. So for this session, what we're going to need our number 1 and number 2 tool, and our number 3 and number 4. If you've got the Pergamano tools, then let me just have a look. Then for the Pergamano tools, we have a set. So I've got the 6mm, the 1.5, the 4.5, and the 1. So you've got a nice selection of different size ball tools there, if I put them in order. Okay, so you can see those. And they complement the Groovi wooden tools. But these are sort of an add-on once you really get into it, once the addiction really kicks in. But for the purpose of today, we're just going to concentrate on the tools that come in with the starter kit. Okay, so we're going to need that. Now, to do the white work, we need softness underneath our parchment. So we have options. Okay, we have our black mat. I'm going to have to zoom out on this because it's just going to look wrong. It's going to look like black on black. There we go. So my basis that I'm working on is the A3 mat because it gives me that larger area to work on, but I use it more as a workspace rather than doing white work. So in the large starter kit, you've got the A4 black mat and you've got the small A5 one. Oh, I've been putting my cup on there. Naughty me. Anyway, we need a soft side. So if you're new to your white work, then this will be great. But what I would suggest, if you've got one of the poly bags that the plates come in, have one of those to hand as well. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is my best friend when it comes to white work. Pergamano embossing mat, excellent. Great if you're heavy-handed or you're learning. Really nice. If I'm going to do white work, if I'm doing small areas, I'll go with the black mat. But if I'm going for larger areas or I just want to chill out a bit more, then the pink mat is key for me. That was a bit of a rhyme, wasn't it? Or the other option, which is becoming a really good friend of mine, is the 12x12 super foams. So we've got them in there, the black and the white. Because sometimes if I'm doing my white work and I'm at home and I'm doing it on my lap, if I'm using coloured parchment, and for example, if I'm using pink parchment and I'm working on the pink mat, it could be quite difficult, especially if I've gone with that number 2 or the number 3 tool to trace out. It's very faint. So what I can do is transfer to the white mat on my light panel. Okay, because then what that does, it illuminates from underneath. Let me see if I've got my light panel plugged in. Let me just switch that on. Just bear with for a moment. And let's have a look, where's it gone? So I've got my Diddy Little A5 on, which we have on special offer at the moment. Okay, so you can work with that, or we've got the A4 one. It's all about having the choice and the space in which you're working. Okay, but for me, if I was working at home, I would have the large one, and we'll just pop that connection into there. 2, 3. Then if I pop that on top, it gives me that nice large area to work on. And then if I'm doing my white work, I would still use the poly bag on top. But you can really see, especially on those faint lines, it really makes them stand out. So if I was at home, then I would be using the light panel to do my white work. It's just a preference, really. I mean, it's not essential, but for me, I just want to make it easier on myself. So it's all about having various options. But for the purpose of today, we'll stick with the black mat that comes in with the starter kit. So just to recap, whoops, pop that to one side. Try not to knock it over. So black mat, poly bag if you're new to your white work, because it will help. Your piece of artwork that we started with last week, and the 2 tools. Now, last week I said we was going to pop a sentiment in the middle of this piece of artwork. So we can do that first before we get started. Okay. Now, on the finished piece that I've created, I've put sun. And obviously you're just restricted by the size. But if you pop your word in first, and then you can bring the design around the outside. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to give you a couple of options. So I'll pop that to one side for now. I'm going to bring in a scrap of parchment, because we always like to have a scrap of parchment. And I'm going to bring in the plate mate from the starter kit with the letterboxes on. Now, I want another scrap of parchment, because what I want to do is write a couple of words down. So if I grab a pen, so I'm going to go with a black pen. So I was thinking sort of really nice generic sentiments. We can go with for you, which is quite nice. Or we can go with love. Okay, nice and simple words, but quite meaningful, especially if you're making the bookmark as a gift for somebody. And then what we're going to do, we're going to turn it over, because when we're working with words and on parchment, we have to spell backwards. So I know, because I'm quite clever in that I can do this without using my fingers, that this has got 3 letters, this one has 3 letters, that has 4, and that has 4. So it's nice and easy. Okay. So if I take my piece of work there, I need a plate to go in the middle. I'm going to use my butterfly wreath just to pop that in there. And we're going to do a series of boxes. This is going to be our template to look at the positioning. So if I take my tumble dry sheet and give that a wipe, then I want my Groovi tabs. We'll run out of Groovi tabs soon. Let's get another roll. Those. And then we're just going to position this. It doesn't need to be accurately lined up. I'm going to zoom in a little bit now. So let's come in. Ooh, that was a bit fast. And we'll just move down so we can see. There we go. Oops, a daisy. So we've wiped it over. So for the for you, I'm going to do 3 boxes. So that's for the FOR. Okay. And then what I like to do with this set of boxes, because it's got like a natural arch to it, I turn it and go the other way. So it creates sort of like an arch on both sides. So this is going to be for that one. Okay. So that would be FORYOU, for you. Now, if we want to do with love, we need to add an additional box in. So I'm going to keep that one. Just repeat the process there. Okay. Hope I'm not going too fast. And then I want to add in another box. So let's have a look. I quite like this one. So I can just position that where I want it to be. And then we just trace out without going through the box we've already done. And then I'm going to go that way and pop that one just there. See, for me, when we're working with words, if we're not sure about positioning in straight lines, these letter boxes are a must-have, because what it does, it means you can go all wonky, but it still looks really nice. And then on this one, I'm going to go, let's see, I'm going to go that one, I think. Yes. I'll do that one. Oh, decisions. There we go. So that has now given me, that'll be for you, and that'll be with love. Okay. So what that means, now that I've got my template, I don't need to put the letters in because I've got my words written down on a piece of parchment. But now if I take my piece, I can decide whether I like the look of for you or whether I've got enough space for the with love. And I reckon, let's have a look, there we go. I reckon we could get either of those in there and it would look just as nice. Okay. So, because I'm going to go with love. I'm feeling romantic today. With it being Tuesday, why not? We can be romantic any day of the week. So, oh dear, I am talking some waffle today. So I can take my template I've created, and all I'm doing is I just want to get my positioning first. And believe it or not, how spooky is that? It's lined up with the edge of the plate mate. Now that wasn't planned at all. It really wasn't. Okay, that was just a real flick. And with these pieces that we've created, pop these in your folder, because then you've got a template then for future projects. So you're not going to sort of waste it. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to stay, because we've gone over to that little hook part on the design. And we're just going to trace out the first 3 boxes to start with. And then I'm going to do this one by eye. I reckon that'll do. But if you want to bring your template back into play to see which one, see, I went more of an angle on that one. But you know what? It's all about artistic choices. So I reckon we'll go with that one. And again, I'm not going through the box we've just drawn there, and I'm not going into the design we've traced out. Okay, so now we've got our first row at the top. Now obviously this will work perfectly that way as well. You don't have to have the bookmark that way. Next, I'm going to take this part and I'm going to overlap it a little bit. So it's the same thing. So I hope you're following along. I haven't confused you too much. I'm trying not to confuse myself either. Which today doesn't seem to be difficult for whatever reason. And then we're going to pop the third box just into play about there. See, turn your parchment at a little bit of an angle. And I reckon we'll go with that one there. And again, it's all about choices. If you don't want to pop a sentiment in the middle, then that's entirely up to you. So there we go. We've got our little letter boxes in place. And I think it just adds that little bit to it. And it's great for personalization. See, I could go with love that way. Or I could do it that way. But I think I'm going to keep it simple. And we're going to go, whoops, he says falling off his chair. Oh dear, what have you put in this coffee, Jilly? Oh dear. Right, okay. So because I know what day it is today, I know it could all go terribly wrong. So, so I'm going to put my word up there because we're spelling backwards. Make sure we're still working on the back of the parchment. The plate is back to front as well. So the first one we're going to pop in is the W. Number 1 tool, because I want it nice and crisp and white. And again, you can use your Groovi tab to hold it in place. Don't go too fast, Paul, slow down. So we've got the W. And then I is next. So for me, this is a great way. I'm not saying you still can't go wrong, because you can. I've done it myself. But it's just having this little piece of paper can really make a difference. Do the T. And then we want a H. Okay. And it's personal, the Groovi system and the personalization, these little letterboxes, for me, really do make a difference. Because I haven't, if I'm at the stage, if I'm new to Groovi and I'm worrying about spelling or worrying about getting the equal spacing between the letters and the words, then for me, this really just gives me that confidence, one, to spell it correctly backwards, but also I haven't got to worry about the spacing, because that's something that we can learn later on. So then we're going to go with L. And this will work whether you've got the large starter kit or whether you have the smaller starter kit. L, my next letter is O. O's all the way over here. Trace that out. And then V. There we go. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Didn't see that one coming. And we've got the V. And then the final letter is the E. Where's my E gone? There it is. Okie dokie. So hopefully when I turn this over, it will say, with love. With love. With love. Perfect. I think it is. It is right, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Whew, that was hard. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay. I'll just give you a minute to catch up. It's got awfully warm in here as well. I might have to put the fan on underneath the table. See if I can switch it on with my foot. Wrong one. Let's try that one. There we go. The fan's on. Whew, dear. Okay. How do we get on with that? I know we've done it in the past, but sometimes we have lots of people tuning in for the first time. So it's great to sort of just cover little bits and pieces and really combine what we've learned over the past 15 weeks. And it's all about the more you do something, hopefully the easier it will become. And to have just a simple piece of parchment with some boxes on, for me, it really did. I'm not just saying it really did. When it came to doing the spelling, it really helped me because I didn't have to worry about getting the spacing between the letters or to work out whether it was on a straight line. And there is tips and tricks for that, which we can cover later on over the next coming few months. But just to make it nice and easy, and because we want to concentrate on other little bits and pieces and just bring it all together, because there's so much we can do with this plate. And we've taken one design on this bookmark, and over the coming months, we're going to look at different areas on it. We're going to really sort of go more into sort of really beautiful shading of white work, something that Linda Williams is sort of magical with. And again, it's one of those techniques that you just have to build up to. So we're not going to go straight in and go straight to the top. We build it up. It's about being on that bus journey and just gradually coasting along nice and safely and happily, hopefully. Okay, have we all managed to pop our letterboxes in? Have we decided what we're going with? Have we gone with love? Have we gone with a name? Mum, dad? Mum and dad are great because it doesn't matter how you spell it, you'll never get it back to front. I've done that on many a cards just to make it easy on myself. Okay, right. So let's have a look then. Let's have a look at some white work. So I'm happy with my actual design element, and this is where it all really starts. Because if you're new to Groovi and you're thinking, that's all I want to do, I don't want to do anything else, I don't want to do white work, I don't want to do picot cutting, then really the job is done at this point. And you can get a beautiful effect quite easily by just tracing out the design. And for me, that's what I love about the Groovi system. That with no skill required at all, apart from spelling, that's the only skill required on this piece, is that you can achieve this. Anybody that can hold a pen or the stylus can achieve this, okay? And because you can achieve this, you then hopefully you want to learn how to do a little bit more and how to try this and how to try that. Now, if you think, I really don't want to go down the colouring road at all, I just don't, colouring doesn't appeal to me, because colouring isn't for everybody, then what we also have available are, what is our designer parchments. Okay, now I've just got the lovely Shenandoah and Rainbow River in this particular folder, but it gives you the beautiful colouring instantly. And we've still got these on special offer. There's still £10 off on these via the Moment of Clarity, which is coming up on tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock with Barb. And Barb's actually stamping on parchment. So again, just because it's parchment and you're thinking, oh, it's only for Groovi, it's not. You can use it, and Barb will be showcasing that in the Moment of Clarity on Facebook Live at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. But if you're thinking, oh, I really like these designs, then we have them available. I say they're £10 off at the moment, and it's, if you're really looking for something a little bit different, then that would be fantastic. So that was, I mean, look at these colorways. You don't need to do anything at all. Then we've got the gorgeous Rainbow Rivers, beautiful colorways, and you get 12 different designs. Look, obviously some of my favorite ones. I need to top that one up. 12 different designs, and you're going to get 4 sheets of each. Stunning. I love this one. Absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, options. That's all I'm doing. I'm just giving you some options. So let's have a look at some white work. So I am going to go with my black mat, and I am heavy-handed, so I'm going to pop my poly bag on top. Now we're working on the back of our parchment still, and I'm going to start off with the number 4 tool. Am I? Yeah. Okay, so if I come in on this one, I wonder whether, is that close enough, or is that one? I reckon I'm going to do it on this one. I'm really going to zoom in, hopefully without it going out of focus. So we can really, I reckon we could get away with that. Really detailed. Okay. Super duper. There's no place to say, right, you've got to start here and go there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start in one place and work my way round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Groovi tab, and I'm just going to wrap it around like that. Okay. And what that is, that's going to give me my reminder of where I've started. So to do this, I'm actually going to come in, because we're quite small in this area, I'm going to start off actually with the number 2 tool. And all I'm going to do, I'm just going to gently apply some pressure. Okay. This is sort of like the undercoat. So we're just putting a very basic layer, and I'm just gently stroking the parchment. Okay. And then I'm going to move around to the next one. Now, as the space gets bigger within those loops, I'm actually now going to jump up to the number 3 tool, because by having a larger ball tool, it's going to fill that space a lot more quickly, and it's going to look, what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to look a little bit more natural, isn't really the right word. It will stop me getting lines, because the smaller the ball tool in a larger area, what's likely to happen? Let me just explain. If I've got a large area to work within, and I'm using the larger ball tool, you can see I can get a really nice sort of coverage. But if I was working in a large area and I'm going to get more like lines, because the ball is too fine to get a consistent blend of whiteness. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Okay. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to, because I'm heavy-handed, okay, I can do the white work in small areas. I'm happy to do the white. I say I'm happy. I can do the white work directly on the black mat. But because I am heavy-handed and impatient, what happened was, it was a really nice word that Paula from the craft store called it the other day. The poly bag acts as a shield. And although I can put the pressure on, it gives some resistance on the mat. So it means I'm not going to go for it. Let me just, if I do a little bit, I'm going to do some heaviness. I'm going to go with the number 3. So if I go like that, see, I've gone through the parchment because I've gone on really heavy. Okay. Now, if I pop the bag underneath and I put that same pressure on, there isn't much room for the parchment to move and stretch. Okay. So I'm going on really heavy, the same heaviness that I went without the poly bag. Okay. So we'll go back to our piece of artwork, and then we're just going to gently stroke the parchment, and we're just moving around very, very slowly. And I'm starting at the tip and coming in. Now, it's not going to look great. When I turn this over, you're going to think, blimey, what was the point of doing that? It's all about building up the layers. Okay. Now, one of the things I find, especially when you're working with a small piece, because we've already trimmed this down already, what can happen is the heat from my hand can cause the parchment to warp. Okay, and also if you go on too fast and too heavy, that can create the warpness as well. So if you've got the Groovi guard, what it's doing, one, my hands now are not on the parchment at all. They're actually to the side, but what it's doing, it's holding the parchment in place because we're working with this smaller area. See, otherwise, what I'm doing, my fingers are constantly on here and I'm leaning on it, okay? But if I've got the Groovi guard, then my hands are off of the parchment because it's the guard that's holding it down. And my hands, so I haven't got the heat from my hands, haven't got the oils in my hand. And then we're just going to slowly start to build up. Now, as I say, with the white work, this is a slow, gradual process. But when you get the end result, it just looks amazing. It really does. And then we're just going to slowly work our way around. In a way, I like to, I say I don't follow the pattern. I do, but I don't. I know it sounds a bit weird, sort of gobbledygook. Now for this one, it's an even larger area. So I'm going to go with the number 4 ball tool. See, it's great having the double-ended ball tool because you can just flick between the 2 different design ends. Okay, so I've missed right. So I've started there and I've gone all the way around the outside on those leaves. So now I'm going to come in and do these ones. So I shall start in the same place where my Groovi tab is. And we're just going to, it doesn't look as if you're doing anything. You're just very gently stretching the parchment. Okay. How are we getting on? Hope I haven't lost you all with my gobbledygook today. I'd say I put it down to be having a blonde moment, but I haven't got blonde hair, so I can't blame that. Okay, so I've done all those little pointy bits. Now, in between each of these little hoops on the design, there's a tiny little dot that we did using the number 2 tool as well. Okay, so for that one, I'm going. So this is where the polybag really comes into play, because it's a smaller ball tool. You do have more chance of going through the parchment if you put too much pressure on. So for these ones, all I'm going to do is just wiggle. I'm going to press and wiggle. It's sort of, can you see that? It's just wiggling a little bit. Okay. And all it's going to do is just, and then as we go round, so the Groovi guard would really help. So we're just going to build up the area. Okay. And then I'm going to go around and do this side. So just slowly, slowly, not too much pressure. And because what you may find is that where we have this solid line here, we've traced it out with the number 1 tool. So it's given us that crispness. So when you're doing the white work in this tiny little area here, we need to be wary of that solid line. Because what can happen is that because you're doing the white work, and if you are a little bit heavy-handed, then it can crack. In the scheme of things, I did it on my finished piece here. I know I did it because I thought, oh no, I've got to start again. But I can't even see where it is now. But I know it was very close to it. And then all we're going to do, So it's just little things just to be wary of or aware of when you're doing the tiny, tiny little areas, especially using the number 2 tool as well. Okay. And then as it gets smaller and smaller, we then go back to the little wiggle. Okay. So we've now we have now done our base coat on the outer part of the paisley. So now we can turn our attention to the inner part. So again, you can see these are tiny little sort of dots within the design. So again, groovy guard, really sort of a good thing. It really is. I mean, it's, I don't know. Although it's a piece of mylar plastic, it is so useful. And when we come to do our perforating, it's great for that as well. So I'm just going to go, I'm just wiggling in that little dot. See, again, this is great for learning your white work as well. Tiny little areas, because what you'll find is that your confidence will grow, excuse me, and you'll learn how much pressure you should or shouldn't apply. Because that is one of the key things when it comes to white work. There's no real, the groovy guard is the groovy plates are a safety net when tracing out the designs quickly and simply. The poly bag or the pink mat is my safety guard when I come to do my white work. Okay. Let's have a bit of a breather. Give people a chance to either have gone through their parchment, thrown it out the window and go, I can't do this. It's all about practice, and that's all we're doing. We're just practicing and we're having a play. What else have I got to? Well, we're just having a little bit of a breather. What have we got coming up? So as tomorrow, back in the shack with Barb at 10 o'clock. Those Camelot, those horses cracked me up yesterday. I was trying to put links in. I just couldn't. Tears were running down my eyes reading all the comments that you were making about the sort of the horse's legs and the horse's head. So you're back in Camelot with Barb tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Then at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, we've got a moment of clarity using those beautiful butterflies from Cherry Green, stamping onto parchment. Gorgeous. See, that's why you need the parchment as well, not just for your groovy. So we have that. Then on Thursday, on the craft store, formerly known as Hochanda, I've got the Pergamano shows at 11 and 3 o'clock with some gorgeous new designs from Tina Cox. I'm going to show you in a minute, but I'm just going to tease you a little bit more. Embroidery plates. Now, not everyone's into embroidery and not everybody's into groovy, but when you combine both together, you can get a beautiful result. But don't think just because they're called embroidery plates, you have to embroider them. You don't. You can get some beautiful artwork. They're design plates at the end of the day. So you can do everything we've learned about so far with the plates without picking up a needle and thread. Let me show you the designs from Tina. These are, I think these are going to be really popular again. So let me just zoom out on that because I know I'm going to be really, really close on this one. So there we go. Let's zoom out a little bit, just while we're just having a little breather. So each of the embroidery plates, we have this one here. I mean, look at this. Look at these little areas here that we can practice our white work on. Or when we come to do larger areas of white work, these are fantastic. So this is Tina's Petal embroidery plate. And again, it will come with a stitching guide as well that Tina has created. Now, if you just trace it out exactly how it comes, that's what you're going to get. Isn't that gorgeous? I'm terrible at teasing, I know. If you choose to do the embroidery, very simply, just with black thread, that's what it looks like. It reminds me of the old Spirelli, or the nails that you'd have in a piece of wood that you'd wrap the twine around. So that is that one. Then we have the next one. This one is the Teardrop embroidery plate. Look at so many elements on that. Again, you get your stitching guide. Then this is what it looks like if we just trace it out exactly how it comes. This is if we choose to add some embroidery. And then I have a couple of samples that Tina has created that I'm going to attempt to demonstrate on the craft store on Thursday at 11 and 3. So we have this beautiful piece here. Gorgeous, isn't it? The threads really sort of make a difference to it. Then I love the monochromatic look. We have this piece here. Look at that. I mean, you don't even have to do all of it. You could just do the teardrop. You could just do this area. It's just, I'm going to bring it on this one because you really see, look at the glisten on that thread. Okay. But again, not necessarily embroidery if you don't want to. This is the piece that Jane Telford has created for me. Simple. We could definitely do this in the Groovi Tuesday. A little bit of picot cutting, a little bit of white work. Absolutely, I love it. And the paper behind it really does lift it. So that's what we've got on the Pergamano show on Thursday. So I hope you can join me then for that, because I think it's going to be a really good show. Okay, so we've let our parchment rest for a little bit. Hopefully you've had a chance to let yours rest as well. Let's bring our work back in and we'll go back onto the overhead camera. So I'm going to zoom back in again so we can really concentrate on these. So big thank you to Tina Cox for her gorgeous designs. See, I'm so lucky. I get the likes of Linda Williams, Tina Cox, Barbara Gray, Josie Davidson. Sometimes I get all the best jobs because I get these beautiful designs and I have the opportunity of showcasing them on the craft store or on Groovi Tuesday to share with you all. So we created our basic white background layer on our whitewash on those smaller areas. So let's have a look at these larger areas now, how we can slowly build those up. Because I don't know about you, but did you find doing those little areas quite easy? Yeah. So I'm going to bring in my Groovi guard again, and we'll go to the larger area. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to start with the largest ball tool, the number 4, and I'm just going to stroke. I'm starting at the bottom of the little teardrop, and then I'm starting at the top. So I'm going from the bottom up, and then I'm going from the top down. And I'm just going on very, very lightly. Okay. Then we have this area here where we've got the 3 sort of teardrops. And again, I'm going to start from there and I'm just going out very, very lightly. Now I'm not going right to the end because in a moment I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to stay in one direction first, but you'll notice that I'm using the largest of the ball tools. If you've got the Pergamano ball tools, you could definitely use the 6mm in this area. Okay, and we've done that little bit there. And then we're going to do this one. Okay. Nice and gently. Now I'm going to do this one here. And I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to start from the bottom and I'm just flicking away. Remember I sort of described it as sort of an aeroplane taking off. Okay. So just because what you'll notice, see how it's still, let's call this black. Where this area here, we're going to pico cut at some point. So this, I'm going to call this like my black area. So you can see that when we're doing the white, we have the black area still visible at the top, and the same on this one. So now if I turn it round, I'm going to come in from this direction. I'm going to go back with the number 4 tool, and then I'm going to go in so that it sort of meets. And for me, I find that gives me a little bit more of a balance control. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same. I'm coming up with all these silly words today. I don't know where I'm getting them from. Madness. Okay. So we just gradually, and it's just a case of putting that base layer of whiteness down. Okay. Now when we turn this over, we can really sort of see, and it looks horrible. It looks absolutely terrible, but it's only the very first layer. It really is, because that's the whole thing with white work. You build it up in layers. When we're tracing out the design, it's instant crisp whiteness, but with white work, it is about the layers and building it up. So what we're going to do, I've done, well, I say I've done, hopefully at home you've done all the way around the outside as well. So I'm going to concentrate on this top area, and I'm now going to go back in and do my second layer. Now, ideally, you'd let this rest for about half an hour, but because obviously we're live, I'm just going to show you what we're going to do. And you can do it as your confidence grows. You can get whiteness quickly, but it won't be, the longer you leave it, the whiter it becomes and the more elegant it looks. So I'm now going to go with my number 3 tool again, and I'm just going to go back over. So I've got my Groovi tab here, so I know this is where I'm starting, and I'm just gently stroking the parchment again. And I can tell you, for me, having that cello bag underneath really does make a difference, because I know the amount of pressure I'm applying. I'm not going really, really heavy, but I am putting some pressure on. I know that if that cello bag wasn't underneath, I would definitely have gone through. Then I'm going to go to the number 2 tool, and then I'm going to go back in, little wiggle, 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 wiggle. Oh dear. Little things. Okay. So now when we turn that over, again, still looks rubbish, but we can see the difference now between where we've done our second layer here compared to our first layer there. So it's all about sort of just taking your time and just doing this. So you can do one layer on this. Don't forget, we've still got a second one to do. So then you move over to here and put your first layer on here. And I'd say there'd probably be enough time then between once you finish this one to then come back over and do your second layer. And just keep jumping between the 2 different ones. And I'd say, what did I do on mine? I reckon for me to have got that whiteness, and I can still go back in, even though I did this 2 weeks ago, I can still go back in and add a further layer to brighten it up. I mean, it doesn't look very white there because I've got the black underneath, but it's definitely different. Let's bring that in. It's definitely different to what we're working on at the moment. And I'd say that's probably got about 4 or 5 layers to it. It's all about just sort of slowly building it up. It really is. And it's just taking your time, because there is no rush, really. It's all about taking in the moment, just chilling out, and just getting the result that you hope for. Seriously, I was looking at some artwork I did when we launched the Butterfly Reef many, many, many years ago. And I looked at that artwork and I thought that next week, I'll get Julie to dig it out for me. Next week, I'm going to bring in a piece of artwork that I did back in the early days. And I've surprised myself on how much I've learned over the years. Yeah, it's taken a couple of years, but I'm not doing it constantly. It's been one of those learning processes, and you build it up gradually. So next week I'll bring that in and I'll show you of what I used to be able to do that I was really happy with and how I've progressed. And so sometimes when you look at your work and you think, oh, I'll never get there, you will. It's all about just taking your time and giving it a go. Now, the butterfly reef that we were using in the early part of the Groovi Tuesday, have you seen our offer of the week? So we've got, as you all know, we have, let me zoom out again now. Whee! Hang on, zoom out, zoom out. There we go. So over the past 13, 14 weeks, we've been working with our beautiful butterfly reefs. And this was one of the first plates that was ever designed to go with the Groovi system. And it's blown away that I thought everybody would have it. But nope, not everybody have. So we have an offer of the week at the moment. If you haven't got it, you buy this one and you get the little one free. Okay. But what is extra special, if you're a groovier and you're a stamper, then look at these. These are gorgeous. We've got the large and we've got the small stamps. And again, look, Lucy's worked her magic. She's created all these different elements. So you've got butterflies in 4 different sizes. Buy this one, you get that one free. Easy peasy. Buy that one, popped in your bag at the same time when we do the packing, and that's worth $9.99. Okay. Now, if you're a club member, you also get your club members on top of that as well. And you're thinking, what club? What's the club all about? Again, if you're new to Clarity, we have a series of clubs available. We do a stamping club, a stencil club, a die club, and a Groovi club. The Groovi club, you can pay £6 a month over 12 months, or you can pay £72 up front, and for 12 months worth of clubs, and you get a bonus project as well. So what do you get for the club? Well, what don't you get really? When you first join, you will receive, let me come back on the overhead, you get a folder to keep all your 12 projects in. You also get the little baby plate mate. So some of you that have got the mini starter kit will already have this, but it's always good to have a second one, especially keep it in your folder. You get what's it all about, the Groovi plate mate. You get a project to show you exactly how it works, okay, with some hints and tips using a couple of other plates. So you get that. You also get your welcome club. You get a membership card as well. And then every month you get, hang on, a little baby Groovi plate and a double-sided project sheet that guides you through pictorial and words as well. You get a little shopping list on what's been used. So if you think, oh, I like that, what's that? You've got your code. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? Beautiful little butterfly. So it covers all different techniques as well. So we've got that. So every month you'll get a little project. You also get a newsletter from Barb telling you exactly what's going on at Clarity Towers. And what you also, so again, look, there's just a couple of different designs of back issues. So you can go back and buy previous issues as well. You get 10% off of all of your online purchases on the Clarity website. And when we have special members events, then you're included in that as well. So at the moment, if you went for the offer of the week, those stamps, and you as a club member, you get your discount. So it's win-win. I mean, to receive a project and a Groovi plate every month with 2 projects on there, for me, for £6 a month, that's crazy. It really, I'm not just saying it. I think value for money, like for like, to have that tuition. Okay, we do YouTube, which is all free for you. But to have this, sometimes you want a printed piece of paper. I know I do sometimes. I'd rather read through something and have a go and feel comfortable. So you've got different options out there if you're new to the Clarity family. What else have we got for you? I think that's probably... Wigig. No, I wasn't swearing. When it's gone, it's gone. We launched it yesterday on the Clarity website, and we're having a bit of a clear out, clearing the shelves, making room for some brilliant new products coming up. So for this week only, we've got a special offer. It's 50% off, and once it's gone, it's gone. So it just allows us to clear the space, allow us to put some new product in place coming up in the future, and for you to take advantage of a 50% sale, really. And if you're a club member, you also get your club discount as well. So what else have I got for you? I think that's all I had on my... I do a Barb. Barb writes a list of things that she wants to discuss during the shack, just as little prompts, because when you're talking and demonstrating, I mean, look at me at the beginning, my brain was totally all over the place. So I have these little prompts like Barb does, just to sort of remind us of what we need to share with you this week, so that it just gives you the heads up. So what I think we'll do, next week, where's my little piece gone? There we go. What I would suggest is that by next week, we do all of our white work. Okay, so do your base layer first, do your base layer on that one, then come back to it and do it again. Now, if you want to do white work within your letters, then you can do that as well. But remember, when we trace those out, we went with the number 1 line. So you will get a different look. Me personally, I prefer to colour the letters in. Okay. So have a play. If you're still not sure about your white work, then where's that bit of scrap that I had? This piece where I wrote on. Trace out the design, not all of it, just areas of it, and just practice. And then if you think, oh yeah, I've got the hang of this, then go on to your finished piece if you want to. It's all about having the choices and having the confidence. So I hope you've enjoyed today's session. I know it's been a bit sort of, a bit gobbledygook and a bit, but with Groovi, there's never ever enough time to showcase exactly what you want to do within an hour. So it's just trying to keep it sort of bite-sized, keep it fresh, keep you entertained, and hopefully you've learned something from today's session. So I'll be back again next Tuesday for Groovi Tuesday. I'll be in the shack with Barb tomorrow, answering all your questions, just like the lovely Jilly has today. Thank you, Jilly, for helping out. And I'll also be with you tomorrow night for a moment of clarity with those gorgeous butterflies. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Stay home, happy and creative, and I will see you again next week. Bye. Oh dear, words.